Hey, hello, and how are you? And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Leading the Charge, the podcast. I'm Dom Tibbetts, joined as always by my co-host, brother Bill. The Buffalo Bills, 31-21 win over the Miami Dolphins happening Thursday night. Bill, obviously, I think when you and I were probably thinking about this game last time we recorded, admittedly, I thought this game was going to be a lot more lopsided. When the odds setters made this a double-digit favorite for the Bills to go out and win, I was like, man, this sounds like free money. Our friend Joe Buscaglia, who does Leading the Charge on TV with us and The Athletic, I've never seen him predict the Bills to win by as much. I think his score was like 40-14. The fact that he was picking the Bills to win by that much made me all confident in the world that they were going to go win by numerous touchdowns. But the Dolphins hung around, and for a lot of reasons too. They probably, I give credit to the Dolphins. They played better than maybe you and I thought they would, but also the Bills kind of kept them around. Offense slow in the second half, defense inconsistent again. What are your just general thoughts and reactions? You weren't there, right? You were back at
Yeah,
home
I
for this
wasn't
one.
there. Not this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. What are your just
Um,
general thoughts on this?
yeah, it was definitely. I was getting a little worried because of how cocky everyone. Like, it just felt. You know what I mean? Like the odds were so high. The way we were on Twitter, I know everyone was kind of like really trashing them, and it was making me a little nervous. Like, I have one of my good friends, the Dolphins fan. And I kept texting him like it's going to be the Ollie Gordon game, just kind of like trying to get some reverse jinx going, and
It in
yeah, it
fact
definitely
was an
looked.
Ollie Gordon game. He gets scores
No,
the
I
first
know.
touchdown
After
of
the
the
first
game.
drive, I was like, I told you. um, but like, it was one of those weird games where like you didn't play as good as we wanted, and it felt like not great, but like you also kind of still felt in control. Like, you know what I mean? I never got like scared. I feel like we never really lost the lead, and it was close, but like it felt like if we needed to, we could always just score when. Like, I just had that feeling, like, it was like, if we need to, we will score.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. 100%.
but yeah, it just felt like kind of lackluster. Like, offense was a little like kind of take their foot off the gas vibe and stuff like that. So, not the most exciting game to watch, but glad we still came out with the victory.
There was a moment, the last drive for the Dolphins. I should say the second to last one, not like the one where they were, playing Hail Mary. Bills are in like deep coverage
Yeah,
zone. Um, that part, I will say, as somebody who's just on the sidelines taking this in, that's where I was getting a little like antsy. It just looked like the Dolphins offensively were just in control. They were looking like they were going to score. What was going to stop them? The Bills defense, who was inconsistent all game. Brother Bill, how many times have we seen this one before where you're just, you're probably yelling at your TV. You're in your head thinking, like, what more can this defense do? There's no quarterback pressure. Like, they can't bring Tua down. They can't finish anything in the backfield. And just when you're ready to throw in the towel on the Bills defense, they come up with a huge takeaway. And who else but Terrell Bernard? I tweeted yesterday it was death, taxes, and Terrell Bernard making clutch plays. It's the only guarantees in life. When it mattered the most, the Bills defense came out and did this. They are without their wrongs in this game, but when they needed to come up and make a play, they did. And I know it's week 3, but that's the kind of things that make you feel confident of like, man, when like Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt come back to reinforce the line, right? Like guys who could have, especially like Ogunjobi, right? We don't really know what he is, but Ed Oliver not being there, that's a loss. But you could have a guy like him back there. Max Harrison, you feel like your ceiling's higher than what you're getting with Trey White. So he's not even back into the mix yet. Overall, I think that's a good sign moving forward is that, hey, the Bills that were so good at taking the ball away last year that kind of got bailed out by it, they're doing the same thing this year. So maybe it's not so much like this, oh, the Bills are the luckiest team in the world on defense and they're just kind of doing this thing where they're living by, the edge of their seat. They actually just might be able to go out and make plays. Like Terrell Bernard said after the game, he has seen that play multiple times on tape the Dolphins have done. He's also seen that route a bunch. And I actually think if you watch the replay, did you see that Deion Walker might have actually
yeah,
tipped the ball a little bit too? He
yeah.
had a great game. So it's, again, the defense just came out and did that thing they always do, where you're like, when they need a play, and they made it. And who else but Terrell Bernard, right?
Right. And good spin zone on the whole thing is that maybe we didn't want them to fire Mike McDaniel because we were so good against him. So we played just good enough
Good. Yeah.
that he can keep his job. There's a little bit of a fire now. Like the guys all played good, and now we get to maybe face him again one more time.
I forget. So, Brother Bill, obviously, every week, ladies and gentlemen, drops these fire videos, the fire game day videos. This one, and we talk about it. We talked about it, I think, even last week, Bill, with the Jets video. Is you have to be pretty creative with the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots because you see them twice a year, and you've been doing this for years now. I know you mentioned, maybe it was off camera at one point when we were talking about your buddy who is a Dolphins guy. How I actually didn't realize while I was watching that how close to Mike McDaniel he actually looked. So for your buddy, I'm actually excited that Mike McDaniel maybe keeps his job. I think Mike McDaniel, let's say the Dolphins lose by 21 or more, I think McDaniels gets fired the second he hops off the plane. But I do think they probably keep him around. Now, if this goes 0-4, 0-5 they got the Jets next week. But if the Dolphins, this gets any worse, your buddy might have to just be a freelance Mike McDaniel.
So that's actually not my Dolphins friend. That is, he's a Chiefs fan, that guy. But
no
he just
kidding.
looks so much like Mike McDaniel that I've made him be Mike McDaniel for the last 3 years just because it's uncanny. Like he looks exactly like him.
That's that
So
part. I was like, how does Brother Bill have a connection to Craig McDaniel, Mike's long lost brother who lives in Rochester?
It's like every time the Dolphins are on the schedule, he's just like, all right, what do you need from me? He just knows now because it's just uncanny. I need him every time, which makes my life a little easier too. Because it's like I have a Mike McDaniel at home, so anything's on the table, it makes it a little easier for me.
And if you haven't seen the videos, folks, make sure you go over to Brother Bill's Twitter at the Brother Bill, V spelled with 2 E's. So that's why I say it like the and not the. All right, so Bill, talking just defensively again, I want to give credit to the Dolphins for having a much better game than I think we all thought they would. One thing I brought up when I was talking to Matt last night on our post-game show, I want to give credit to Tua. I know he wasn't the most accurate passer. There's a couple throws I'm sure he wants to have back. I think there's a couple plays that really could have broke the back of the Bills. But 2 big plays that were made was the 2 interception at the end and then that roughing the punter call that Cameron Johnson drew. I mean, those are the 2 biggest mistakes of this game, and the Miami Dolphins made them, not the Buffalo Bills, which feels like, we get to talk a lot about the Bills not making that play. But getting back to Tua, can we just admit that, at least for me, I don't know how your thoughts are, so I'll let you speak on it a little bit. Tua just was good at escaping pressure. I thought he had a really good game in the pocket and I think of the Trey White play that everybody was really upset about. I can understand Trey White has to come up and make that play. There's definitely an argument there. But the way I'm looking at it, and maybe I don't get to see it because I'm not up top in the press box because Matt and I had a disagreement about this. The way I'm looking at it from the sideline view I have, Trey is lunging to go make the tackle. Now, for Trey White to make a tackle, I'm not saying it's you and I, but Trey White's 160 pounds soaking wet. He needs all the force in the world he can get to go make a play on Tua, who's not a small guy by any means. As soon as he goes to basically lunge and make the tackle, Tua makes it just a nice spin move to the backside out of the pocket and relieves himself of pressure. He was doing that multiple times, like Joey Bosa. He slipped out of a sack by him. He slipped out of a Deion Walker sack. Is there something to be said that, okay, maybe the defense didn't get to the quarterback as much as they should have, Bill, but Tua also just did a good job at evading pressure?
Yeah. Kind of just going into this week and seeing all the videos and breakdowns of Miami and stuff. And he's been absolutely terrible at that the last 2 weeks too. So that was really frustrating. So it's he's been one of the most easiest sacked quarterbacks in a long time. I remember seeing a stat was 7.9% sack rate, something like that, where it was pretty crazy. So that was really frustrating last night. I was definitely this guy's not mobile at all. This guy hasn't been able to evade sacks all year. And he was just getting away from us. I don't know if it was more of an indictment on us or maybe he was just feeling it last night and had some moves, but that was frustrating.
The other thing too is, and we didn't get to talk a lot about this in the last podcast because we were, recapping the Jets game, but the other point that I think people have to kind of consider, hey, it wasn't I wouldn't even call this an ugly win because a lot of times last year when we talk about like the Bills winning, I used the phrase ugly wins are better than pretty losses a bunch. I don't necessarily think this is like I've seen the Bills win much uglier games.
Oh, yeah.
I know we all have, right? The Bills are on less than, basically 5 days in between their last game, 4 days of rest, essentially, leading up to this, too, against a team that is playing with their backs against the wall in desperation mode. I mean, Mike McDaniel's coaching for his literal job security, a team that can't really afford to go 0-3. That's an incredibly difficult hole to dig yourself out of. I think there is something to be said just overall. If you look at some of the frustrations on defense, it's you didn't really have a full week to game plan for them. You are on a short week of rest. You still came out and got the win, and you held a good offense of 21 points. You forget Miami still had Tua has had success against the Bills and other teams in the NFL. He's not the worst quarterback, but Devon Achane is good.
Really good.
Tyreek Hill is in probably the latter part of his career, but he's a matchup nightmare. He's so fast. And Jalen Waddle, when he's healthy and he's on the field, he's a very good wide receiver. Those are 3 very good weapons. And then, like you mentioned, Ollie Gordon stealing the first touchdown of the game. First rookie running backs. All the rookie running backs that I have on my fantasy football teams are playing like dog doo-doo so far this year. But Ollie Gordon, not him though. So I think there's something to be said. How did you just kind of take away, maybe the defensive frustrations compared to hey, it's a short week and now we have a mini bye and we're 3-0.
Yeah, and you had Milano's out, so Shaq Thompson's barely even practiced, I feel like. So he's
because he's been dealing with injuries too.
Yeah,
exactly.
So he's playing starter minutes and everything. So that's there's little reasons why, I guess. Short week, people are hurt. Our suspended players still aren't here. That's my big well, they'll be back. That's what I just keep telling myself. This isn't the final product, and there's reasons, like you said, as long as you get the win, nobody asks how, right? It's just what, right? Is that what the saying is? Nobody asks how.
As long, right? Yeah, nobody asks how unless they just get the result. Yeah, I don't know.
It's something like that.
It's something good, dude.
Nobody asks how you do it. As long as you get the win.
Yeah.
When we look back on the season, it's not going to be oh, that win was kind of sloppy. It's just going to be no, we were blank and 14-3 or whatever we end up being. So I'm happy we got the win. That's all that really matters.
For what it's worth, folks, it is 8:22 in the morning on Friday. Bill and I are recording this. We didn't want to wait until Monday because that's 3 or 4 days in between the game, and the game would already process, and we're moving on because it will be the Saints week by then. Bill has to actually go to work because you forget that Bill is a master barber who also has a day job here. So if we aren't remembering our phrase, I'm on 4.5 hours of sleep, and it's a great way to wake up. Don't get me twisted, but if we don't get our phrases and catchphrases, whatever it may be, correct, give us some grace here. Bill, the one of the things offensively as we switch the conversation, I'll bring up here. This was the epitome of an everybody eats game because I'm looking at the ESPN stat sheet right now for the amount of receptions. So Dalton Kincaid had 5 receptions. Khalil Shakir had 4. Elijah Moore had 2. Tyrell Shavers had 2. Keon Coleman had 3. James Cook with 3 receptions. Ty Johnson, Jackson Hawes, and Joshua Palmer all with 1 reception. Legitimately was an everybody eats game. Elijah Moore, his 2 plays, we talked about this last night, they're not much. 2 catches for 30 yards will not pop on a stat sheet, but his plays were arguably some of the most important that helped seal the game up late there too. Jackson Hawes' first touchdown. And Jackson Hawes had a missed block assignment or wasn't in the right position early in the first half. I think it was the first quarter. It forced the Bills to call a timeout because I thought Dawson Knox go over and talk to him. And then Jason Kroom, the tight ends coach, came over and was talking to Jackson about kind of telling him, I don't think you were in the right spot. This is where you need to be. Well, then, the ball is always going to find you. 2 plays later, Jackson Hawes scores his first touchdown. When you look at the way that the Bills can spread it out, and we've talked about, the ability to do that, you have different weapons. I go to the second half, though. The 3 straight punts where it just felt like it sputtered. When you see that happen, and it's not the first time that this everybody eats offense sputters like that, how long-term concerned are you when you see multiple series like that, Bill, where it just doesn't feel like there was any juice or any spark on offense?
Yeah, it's it's a little concerning. Like this offense seems like you have James Cook, you have Josh Allen. It feels like those two dudes alone should be able to get it moving. So it does get frustrating sometimes when we can't. I know sometimes when they show like the quarterback perspective, like camera, and you see downfield that there's like nobody open and stuff. That's like when you like, because you're always like, gosh, why doesn't Josh just throw it or something like that? And it's not that simple, I guess,
Yeah.
But like it does feel like maybe our like longer game like isn't coming along too well right now. Like I don't know if it's out of design to just do these like dink and dunk things, which really they work. Like I do like it. It's just like we haven't seen Josh like be able to like let it loose a little bit and like let it rip outside of like maybe that Ravens comeback situation when
Right. Because I mean, you're in a situation where you have to pass, you know?
And like I would like to see that integrated more. Like Josh has a cannon and we have like these, Josh Palmer's brought in to be kind of that guy, I think, and Keon's pretty good at deep balls and all that stuff. So I don't know what's causing that, but I think I'd like to just see a little bit more like risky play. Like I know that's like seems like counterintuitive, but like it just feels a little like we're trying to take it so easy that like the offense stalls out.
No, I get where you're coming from here. It felt at times, I think, even defensively too. But since we're talking about the offense, it's a little conservative. I think the Bills were playing a little bit too much of control the clock, which is totally fine because I've been critical of the Bills, especially like when you go back to like the preseason about their time of possession. Like I think the Bills had to do a better job at controlling time of possession in games. I think they were up on it for the most part. And see if I can find that real quick in this game recap here. But they controlled time of possession, at least to my knowledge here. Yeah, was it not by much? So about 32 minutes for the Bills, 28 or so for the Dolphins. So they still controlled the clock. It just felt like and this is what we get to do, right? With the Bills. We get to be nitpicky. They're good. That's a really good team that's going to make the playoffs and make a run for the Super Bowl. But this is what you do with good teams. Like we weren't doing this with the Bills 10 years ago when they hadn't made the playoffs and you're just finding the little things. You're celebrating the little things because you're like, this team hasn't made the playoffs. We got to do what we got to do here.
I know what you're saying. Like when we were like not good, any little thing, like we could be down like 20 and Elijah Moore rips off like that like 15-yard like catch and run. And I'd have been like, dude, that was awesome. Like that would have made me feel so good. You know what I mean? Like that fixed everything back then. It was the little victories. And now it's like we almost expect perfection a little bit, or maybe not perfection, but close to it.
Yeah.
Like we still put up 31 points. Really should have had 34 if Prater hits the field goal.
31 points is a good day at the office, right?
It's a really good day at the office.
No, and thank you for the assist because my point I was trying to get to, I was having a brain fart of how to like get there, but the point I was trying to make was at the mark where Prater misses the field goal, that drive where it really could have been 17-7 at that point. Yeah. That's a drive to your point, and I do agree with you. Is it felt conservative in the play call? I know you're trying to control the ball a little bit. But take a couple shots. Kincaid also had a deep ball that he dropped in the end zone. Also made up for it with an early touchdown. But that's where I was like, the Bills spent, probably 7 or 8 minutes with the ball in control. But it just felt like there wasn't enough like mojo. Like you almost want to be like, hey, take the reins off, unleash Josh Allen, and let's just see. Let's see if you can scheme something up where Josh Palmer gets open down the field or Keon can make some sort of deep ball. They did that a couple times in the Jets game, and I know the Jets defense is different than the Dolphins defense, but it felt like at times things were a little bit too conservative against the Dolphins. Maybe you get away with that, right? And like next week when they play the Saints, you're probably getting away from that. I don't know about the Patriots when they go up against them, and I don't know what it'll look like in Atlanta when they're playing them in week 6. So it's the little things that, again, you can nitpick on and get back after it. But that's the mark of a good team, and that's why we get to have this discussion. I'd rather we be nitpicking a good team and being like, well, these are the little things that might matter in February, and be like, well, I'll tell you what, if the Bills make the playoffs and Elijah Moore is there, they might just do this thing. Right. Is there anything else offensively, Bill, before we kind of transition to our kind of few last points here before we move on.
James Cook is really, really good. And
Yeah.
I think his deal is a steal, honestly. Like he is so good. I love watching him, man. And I feel like he's getting more of the bulk. Like I feel like it was much more trio heavy last year and even the year before, maybe. But this year, it's definitely seems to be like him and Ty Johnson have their like he's the main guy, and Ty Johnson's like the third down blocker, receiver type dude. But like
Yep.
James is like the running back, and it makes sense to me. Like I remember last year, like end of the Chiefs game, and you're like, "Where's James Cook? Why? Like, why is he not getting the ball more? He's our best offensive player outside of Josh and probably Dion, but like playmaking wise, I think he's the best by a long shot. So glad to see that we're kind of like really pounding him the rock. Like he's just so electric.
Yeah, I mean, James last year in Miami for that week 2 game, 3 touchdowns. So he had 108 yards rushing, touchdown last night. James Cook. I mean, I think we might have mentioned it in one of the last couple of episodes we did, but you and I were both, I think, pretty much in agreement that it now makes sense why the Bills gave him the deal he got, why he got the deal that he got. It's a good deal for both sides. James Cook continually proving his worth. He did go to the Blue Medical tent for a brief stint. So this was kind of funny, not funny. It was just a coincidence or just something that was random. So this was shortly after Taylor Rapp and Benford. I think that's what happened when they collided and Benford got the wind knocked out of him. We were kind of by the blue injury tent on the Bills sideline, and I was shooting a play, and all of a sudden I looked over and the tent was up. So a couple of us went over just to go check out who it is. We're thinking it's probably Benford in there getting checked out. We were sitting there waiting, and then James Cook popped out, and it seemed pretty fast. He went right to the bench. He wasn't limping or anything, but obviously it's a little bit of a scare. Benford was obviously a little bit of a scare too when he went down because we didn't know exactly what had happened. He has a little bit of concussion history. You don't really know what happens with players when Taylor Rapp is on the field. Sometimes
no one's safe. Taylor Rapp's around.
Taylor Rapp, I know he knows what team he's on. Like sometimes I do see the tweets and I'm like, guys, I do think Taylor Rapp knows that he does play for the Buffalo Bills. It's scary though. Like Taylor Rapp just flying across the field. Like he is the Jenna Cottrell from 13 Wham said it. He is the guy from The Simpsons who just dives headfirst into a window. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're in a blue jersey or a white jersey last night, you are getting leveled if Taylor Rapp's coming across the middle. But yeah, so Bills get it done. Nice and easy. Last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up here, Bill, then we'll get your final thoughts as we head to our mini bye week and the Saints week. He was inactive. We still haven't gotten to see your boy, but boy, does Jordan Phillips know how to come in with a fit. Overalls, no undershirt. I hate to say it. That's what the peak male body looks like, right? Like we could all agree that is what the peak male body should look like. I don't. Jordan Phillips bodies are in, abs and 6-packs and 8-pack, whatever it may be. Fitness is out. I want to look like Jordan Phillips one day. Incredible stuff from your boy there.
Dude, I was cutting hair, so I didn't get to see because it was like Thursdays is late practice squad elevation like notificate, right? Like they didn't have to do it till like 4:00 or something.
Yeah, very, very much late. And then obviously inactives come in 6.
So I didn't get to see the list yet. And then I was getting the video sent to me, and I'm like, please activate this man. Like, how do you look at this and not activate that? Like, he hates the Dolphins. We all know he hates the Dolphins. I hate the Dolphins. He's got freaking overall Zubas, no shirt. Like, free him. I need him out there. I think I tweeted at one point. It was one of those moments where like we missed on a few sacks that were like right there, and I was like, Jordan Phillips would have had 2 sacks already tonight. Like, I believe it.
You call him, Brandon Beane's gonna get a call, and he's gonna be like, "Hello, that's Brother Bill of Leading the Charge. Brandon, how are you? Good. Listen, what are we doing with Jordan Phillips? Yeah. Free my boy. Free him. We
WBK, they need to give me my WKBW needs to give me my press pass for one question only, and it's why is Jordan Phillips not on the field yet?
During the bye week, if they give us presser, we can do a little swap. I'll give you my hey, hello, and how are you hat, and you just come in, just just cosplay Dom. Just be like, yeah, I shaved, guys. I only have my mustache. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, it's like we've always said, Jordan Phillips is a great insurance policy to have there. Obviously, guys in the locker room love him. I'm happy because you do this podcast with me, so I'm happy that Phil is around. He'll get his moment, I'm sure, at some point. As we move forward, too, we were talking about it last night. Milano and Oliver, obviously the two kind of big injury things. I could see a world where Ed Oliver does come back and play against the Saints. I think with Milano, great news that he's not going on the injured reserve list, excuse me. So that's very positive sign moving forward. I think the Bills against the New Orleans Saints will be just fine. I could make an argument to be like, yeah, bring Ed back. You don't maybe give him a snap count, but you don't have to hold him out. On the Bills training staff, I'm Sean McDermott. Matt Milano probably not going to play against the Saints, and I'm okay with that. There's no reason, at least for me to. Is there any general concern injury-wise that you are taking into this little mini bye week?
I didn't really see if anyone got hurt in the game yesterday. It looked like Benford came back.
I guess it's a good point. We will find out more today when McDermott talks later on. So
because Bills are like the kings of everyone finishing a game, and then all of a sudden there's like 4 dudes on the injury list that you're like, what? Like I saw him at the
what happened here?
Even at Oliver, like I still don't know what happened, I guess.
Well, and I saw a video on Twitter of Joey Bosa taking a hit, and then he like shook his left arm a little bit and was kind of wiggling it out. And I was like, and it stinks is I just sat down with Bosa for an interview for our pregame show, and I legitimately was like, man, if I jinxed him, because we talked about being healthy and just like having fun, and I'm like, oh no, I'm the one who jinxed Joey Bosa. But it felt like it's inevitable. So yeah, I guess we'll find more about that coming up at around 11:45. We're recording this again, like I said, a little before 9 a.m. on this Friday morning. We will go into a victory weekend. So happy Victory Friday, happy Victory Weekend, everybody. Bill, any parting thoughts or final words to give to the people before we wrap up here?
Just 3-0. That's exactly what you want. Like, what's the saying? We still don't know. It doesn't matter how.
That sounds good.
Whatever it is, that's how I feel. And now we get a nice little rest and hopefully get healthy. And yeah, like I don't want to, again, jinx anything, but like this stretch going into the bye week feels very obtainable to be like undefeated into the bye week. So it's nice to get a little rest too and just kind of hopefully take care of everything and do what we're supposed to do.
And my final thought kind of just segues perfectly off that is the Bills have set themselves up really nice with a 3-0 start. The Chiefs are 0-2. The Ravens are 1-1. The Cincinnati Bengals are 2-0, but they just lost Joe Burrow for a few months. The next step for the Buffalo Bills is getting the 1 seed. Keep taking care of the games you're supposed to take care of. Clinch this 1 seed. Bring every playoff game to Highmark Stadium. That's the next level of ascension this organization, this team needs to as they kind of ultimately go chase the Super Bowl. And you're doing well, and you're set yourself up for that. So
honestly, for the fans, I think we need to know when is the last official home game. Like, we need the 1 seed for the fact that we know when we win or whatever happens, that is the last game, because like, God forbid we tear the place apart or something crazy and we have to play the next week all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think. I'm like, there's gonna be bleachers missing.
Fans remove the goalposts and bring it down to the Niagara River, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, bring it back, fish it from the river.
It's like one of those, like, we won't ask any questions, just please return the goalpost.
We can only hope that maybe there's a situation like that. But again, clinch the 1 seed, you alleviate all your problems. Bills are on a good route to do that. They are 3-0 heading into a mini bye week. Up next, the New Orleans Saints on Sunday, September 28th. Of course, as always, follow at the Brother Bill, the with 2 E's, the Brother Bill. I'm Dom Tibbetts for WKBW. This has been the Leading the Charge podcast. Have a great weekend and a happy Victory Friday to all of you. And until next time, see you later.